Chapter 4, Section 6. Classification criticized. The next thing in thy letter is the question, quote, "Are gods separated from daemons by the distinction of bodied and unbodied?" Footnote 25. Origen affirmed that the angels have bodies, and that God alone is a spiritual essence without body. Hence the clause in the confession, quote, "without body, parts, or passions." This distinction is much more common than the former one, but it is so far from indicating their peculiarities of essence that it does not even constitute a reasonable guess in respect to them or anything incident to them. For it is not possible from these things to apprehend intelligently whether they are living beings or beings without life, and whether they are deprived of life or do not need it at all. Besides, also, it is not easy to form a judgment as to how these terms are to be applied, whether in common or in relation to many different things. If they are to be applied in common, if both a piece of writing and a period of time, a god and daemons likewise, and also fire and water, are under the same class as being incorporeal, the distinction is absurd. If, however, they are employed with reference to the chief differences, why then thou speakest of incorporeal things? Dost thou indicate gods rather than tokens? Or when thou sayest body, why should it not be taken to mean the earth rather than daemons? For this point is not itself defined, whether they have bodies as a part of themselves, or are carried by bodies as a vehicle, or make use of them on occasion, or encompass them, or are merely identical with the body. Perhaps, however, it is not necessary to scrutinize this distinction critically, for thou dost not put it forward as thy own concept, but, on the contrary, displayest it as the conjecture of others. Chapter 4, Section 7. The gods of the sky not corporeal. We will, therefore, take up in place of this subject the matter in relation to the present opinion, about which thou seemest to be in doubt. For thou hast proposed this question, quote, "If only the gods are incorporeal, how shall the sun, the moon, and the luminaries visible in the sky be accounted as gods?" We reply that they are not encompassed by the bodies, but that on the contrary, they encompass the bodies with their own divine lives and energies. Also that they are not converted to the body, but possess the body which has been converted to the divine cause, and that the body does not interfere with their spiritual and incorporeal completeness, nor occasion any obstacle to it by intervening. Hence it does not even require more attention, but follows the divinities after a manner spontaneously and by its own motion, not needing a self-operating superintendence, but urging on by itself, uniformly by the leading of the gods upward toward the One. Footnote 26. Plato has explained this very similarity in the Timaeus. Quote, "When each of the stars necessary for the constitution of time had obtained a motion adapted to its condition, and their bodies bound or encompassed by living chains had become beings possessing life, and had learned their prescribed duty, they pursued their course." Footnote 27. That the Supreme Being is one and absolute is the leading principle of every ancient faith, however bizarre and polytheistic it may be esteemed. Ammon, the tutelar god of Thebes in Egypt, who may have been in the mind of Abaman when writing was denominated, quote, "the one, the maker of all that have being." The mysteries of Serapis were favored by Iamblichus, and the rites of Mithras by Porphyry. If, however, it is necessary, we will say this. The body of the divine guardian of the star in the sky is very closely akin to the incorporeal essence of the gods. For the essence being one, the other is unique. That being undifferentiable, this is undivided. That being unchangeable, this is in like manner unchanged. Footnote 28. Plato makes use of an expression signifying, quote, not subject to decay or disease. Aristotle, quote, not being increased or changed. But if even it is taken for granted the energies of the gods are after one ideal, the divine one in the sky has also a single orbit. Nevertheless, it also imitates their sameness in respect or a perpetual activity constantly in the same manner, by the same impulses, according to one law and one order of arrangement. And also the life of the gods, which is the life natural to the bodies in the aether. Hence, their body is not constituted of incongruous and different elements in the way that our body is composed, nor does their soul join with the body to bring out from two, one living being. On the contrary, the living forms of the gods in the sky are, in every respect, similar and united, and are likewise complete, uniform, and uncompounded through their entire substance. For the superior divinities are always excelling in these respects, and the lesser ones being dependent upon the rule of those that are prior and never obtaining this rule for themselves. The whole are brought into one joint arrangement and one common activity, and are all of them, in a manner, incorporeal and wholly divine. Hence, wherefore the divine ideal predominates in them and implants through them all everywhere the same one universal essence. So, therefore, the gods that are visible in the sky are likewise all of them, in a certain sense, incorporeal.